Hey, welcome back. My name is Fan Fantasy, and this is part 5 of our interview series on the Bradley. And with me is Ron, who is a former Bradley crewman. If you haven't seen my previous episodes, I encourage you to check that out. In this part, we're going to be talking about video games and how we can learn from them as well. Going to be a good one if you're a fan of Steel Beast Pro, Gunner Heat PC, and other tank games. If you've been enjoying my videos in this interview, make sure to leave that like and subscribe. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. A lot of my viewers are gamers. They like to play games, tanks and stuff. So what's your favorite armored video game that you like to play?
Well, I'm going to take it back way old school. Back in the 90s, there was a game called M1 Tank Platoon 2, I think it was. And you could run as a gunner on a tank or a Bradley. When I was in Germany, I used to I had a big stereo with big, huge speakers back then, and I'd had my computer hooked up to it. And, I'd turn it up really loud, and, me and my buddies would get drunk, and we'd sit there and we'd play, and you'd swear there was a 50 cal going off because it would rattle the windows. Yeah, that would be my favorite all-time old school game. I have Gunner Heat PC. I downloaded that during the beta. Really good. Arma 3 also. I've played that a couple of times. Me and my buddies from Iraq, we actually used a Bradley crew and did some missions.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's interesting. So with Gunner Heat PC, one of the big things I noticed was the turret was spot on. The indexing your range and stuff. One of the things was missing the auxiliary sight.
I think that will come eventually. Like,
Yeah,
a lot of tanks are going to be coming with auxiliary sights, so.
yeah, because on the Bradley, you have your main integrated sight unit, which is your thermal and your day sight. And then you have off to your side, you essentially just have a periscope with a basic, simple, reticle in it to shoot. The other thing I noticed was that the speed of the turret was off a little bit.
Too fast?
Too slow. On the Bradley, there's actually a slew button. So there was an old video game of Star Wars back in the day on an arcade, and it was actually the Bradley control system, I swear. But you had the little two hand grips, and you had the your Cadillacs, as we called them, and then you had the grips that you'd grab to engage the turret motors. And then on your thumbs, on the original Bradleys, there was a slew button. So if you would have grabbed the Cadillac and push it all the way to the left or right, the Bradley would only go a certain amount of speed. But if you push that slew button, it would, quadruple the speed. So as soon as you let off of those Cadillacs, that turret stopped. There was no more, and then, kind of stop. It was, you let off that button, dead stop. So that was one of the things I noticed about in the Gunner Heat PC. And then just, the system's really cool. One of the things I wasn't a fan of is you can't knock down trees, but that's a video game, restriction. But realistically, yeah, Bradleys will knock down trees as long as you aren't stupid about it and get high centered, which I might have done once or twice in Germany. Yeah, so yeah, right now I've been more focused on my 20-year reunion of going into Iraq. So I've been working on stuff for that, and haven't really been getting into a whole lot. I haven't been able to play video games a whole lot lately. But I got the Gunner Heat PC. I just haven't been able to install it. Dang PC took a crap a couple of months ago. So I'm slowly but surely rebuilding.
So I've asked this before with the real armor guy, and I'm going to ask you this, but do you think gamers can learn a lot about the M2 Bradley from tank games?
Yes. The video game is that. It's a video game. But you have to understand on the flip side, the U.S. military uses video games all the time now.
Like VBS?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, VBS. That is that the one that
It
it was kind of it's like Arma 3 or the original. It's a more militaristic version of Arma, if I remember
yes,
correctly, or something
it's
along.
the licensed version for the military.
Yeah, that was. Remember we were talking about UCOF and being linked
Yep.
together. That's what I was talking about.
Hmm.
You know, when you actually look out of the hatch, you can actually, as a Bradley commander, you look out the hatch and there's a surround screen. You can actually see everything, and it's really cool. Um, but yeah, you can learn a lot from the games. I love in the Gunner Heat PC where it shows what happens when the rounds hit. That is just so cool. Seeing the splatter effects and the spalling as the
Hmm.
rounds impact. That's pretty cool to be able to see that. Um, like I said, I'm a Bradley guy, so you know, on most of that it was tank battles or tank stuff till they added the Bradley in. And like I said, you can learn basic tactics, basic understanding of what Bradleys can do. Um, but yeah, I think you can learn stuff.
Hmm.
Are you going to be able to literally, you know, play a video game and then go jump into a Bradley and, you know, shoot it?
Probably not.
Depends. It depends.
Okay.
You know, like I said, like I've always said, everything in the military is written at a third grade level. Um, you know, the first warning when you open up a Bradley technical manual, it says, "Do not look through integrated sight unit at the sun. May damage eyes." You know, so if there's a warning on there,
Yep.
somebody's done it.
Yep.
So, um, yeah, I mean, could you figure out how to shoot a Bradley with it? If it was loaded and everything was there, yeah, you could probably. But there's a lot of stuff that video games don't show. You know, taking off the feed chutes, clearing the gun, taking the feeder,
Oh yeah.
taking the bolt assembly apart. What do you do if you have a malfunction? You know,
That's the boring
how?
part.
Yeah, all the part that nobody cares about. You know, the realism parts of the game. Um, but you know, I remember before I went to Iraq in 2003. At the time, I was into first-person shooters, and Ghost Recon, the
Mm.
original one, was out. And I used to play that with my buddies online in a clan. You know, 10 hours a night. Don't know how I did that back in the 20 when I was only 20, but hey, I guess I was young. Um, but then going to combat and then coming back and playing that first-person shooter game again. You know, there'd be times when I would lay down in the prone position behind a cover, and I know that I'm in cover, but the video game says I'm not.
Oh
You know, things like that will happen. You know,
yeah.
you're always going to have someone that's going to be, you know, glitching or looking for that one, you know, slice through the hill so that they can see the other side. You know, that is always going to be a downside. But if you get into a group of people that are actually there and doing it, you know, for the right, you know, to learn and do it as a military sim thing, yeah,
Hmm.
I could see that happening.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of games like Steel Beast, for example. There's a community that plays, and yeah, and you get to learn more about how tanks operate, but also the tactics and completing the objective together. And yeah, it feels great to accomplish something together in game, but also learn something too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and one thing about, you know, tactics and doctrines, it comes down to, you know, fighting in a tank or a Bradley compared to fighting on the ground. It's the same tactics. Fix and flank. You know, that's basic, you know, infantry or, you know, basic army tactics. Fix the enemy, suppress them so they can't move,
Hmm.
and then have your buddy come by and shoot him in the side or from the back.
Yep.
You know, that's one thing. Before I got out in 2007, I went to India um, and trained with light infantry there. And that's what one of the Indian officers told me. They said, "Yeah, you know, we're infantry. It's all the same tactics. It's just what we call it that's different. But
Hmm.
the basic idea is there. Put the guy's head down so that he can't see you and shoot you, and then have your buddy come around and get him."
Flank. Yep.
Yep.
So my last question is, what do you appreciate about the Bradley,
Ooh, the Bradley. So,
and what do you
as I
least
had hinted,
appreciate as a follow up?
So we had discussed about, I was in the Army for 12 and a half years.
Yeah.
10 years of that, I was mechanized infantry. The last 2 years, I was light infantry. By light infantry, what I mean is we either walked everywhere or we were in cargo Humvees, maybe an up-armored Humvee. The effect a Bradley has psychologically is amazing. When you see a tank, doesn't matter if it's a Bradley or an actual tank, when you see a tank roll up on a situation, things tend to quiet down pretty quick. What I appreciate, the Bradley, having a weapon system that can engage out to 3,000 meters accurately with high explosive rounds, a thermal sight, that is just a game changer. When the best thing you have in the light infantry is a Mark 19 or a 50 cal with iron sights. It's that is a game changer right there. The worst part about the Bradley, everybody's always going to say the maintenance, but realistically, maintenance on a Bradley isn't that much. I was never a fan of the transmissions.
Oh.
The Allison transmission, it never. The weakest part of the Bradley's drivetrain was the Allison transmission. When I was a Bradley driver in Korea, my transmission went out. It was literally to the point I would put it in reverse and the vehicle would go forward, and I'd put it in drive and it would go backwards. And my mechanics told me, well, we can't fix it because it still moves. So they told me, hey, just next time you're going down a steep hill, just slam it into reverse real quick and see if it blows up. That was the extent. But yeah, that would probably be the part I didn't like about the Bradley would be the transmission. And changing track was never a fun thing.
Yeah, but everyone was in charge of taking care of the Bradley, and so you had to learn how to change tracks and all that stuff and maintain it.
What you had was your 3-man crew, unless it was the platoon leader or the platoon sergeant, then it was a 2-man crew. So you essentially had a 5-man section because your 2 leaders were doing other things. Or you would have, because your dismounts never did anything. They would handle all the dismount stuff. So it was just 3-man crews for the most part. But yeah, it wasn't bad. The Bradley really impressed me in Iraq. In the Battle of El Kifl, one of our Bradleys took 3 RPGs.
Wow.
One bounced off the front armor plate. Another one hit was a front-on shot, and it hit a rucksack on the side, or a bag on the outside, and exploded. And the third one was a straight, perfect flank shot, and it hit the bags on the outside and pushed in the detonator. So by the time it hit the actual outer side of the Bradley, there was no penetration.
Wow, the bags really help.
Yep. Yes, the duffel bags and the rucksacks on the outside. And I can remember one of the guys that was there, his rucksack had got blown up. And this is in El Kifl, so this is March 25th. We get to Baghdad April 2nd, and he has no clothes except literally the shirt on his back, the uniform he's wearing, because all of his other clothes have RPG holes in them. It was funny because he smoked Newports at the time, and he opened up a carton of cigarettes that he had, and a couple of them, had been ripped open by shrapnel. But come to find out, every single cigarette had a pinhole because the shrapnel from the RPG had gone off and put pinholes into all of his cigarettes.
It must be a sign.
Yeah, time to quit, huh?
Yeah. And that concludes our interview series with Ron, who was an M2 Bradley crewman. We hope that you enjoyed this series and you find this fun. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. You can also join my Discord for more content and discussion. And so once again, thank you, Ron, for joining me.
Hey, thank you for having me.